Yeah, it usually does. Okay.
All set?
Yeah. Meeting.
All right, we'll get started quick. So we sent out the surveys to the public, and I'm just going to go over some of the responses that we got back. And this is regarding the New York State Police Reform and Reinvention Collaborative.
Specifically for the Madison County Sheriff's Office.
Right, specifically to our agency only. So it doesn't include other police agencies. It's just the Madison County Sheriff's. The first one is, do members of the Madison County Sheriff's Office receive any training on how to handle mental health situations? So one of the main things that I always push is, yes, we do. They receive training in the Basic Police Academy, and we also do yearly training upgrades every year regarding this. And the main thing is that we're accredited by the state of New York, our criminal division. So they have given us a stamp of approval with all of our programs that were in accordance with the standards of the Department of Criminal Justice Services. We just attained that last year. So that's the first thing that I wanted to put out there. We do 14 hours of mental health training in the academy, implicit bias policing in the academy, and yearly training for patrol and supervisors. We train on excited delirium, which is huge. You know, all these things across the country with custodial deaths. This is what it's all about. You know, the excited delirium. Most of the time it's induced by someone's bad behavior, taking excessive drugs and overdosing in our custody. But we're trained on how to deal with that and how to get them the proper medical attention immediately once we recognize that situation. Cultural diversity training is 8 hours in the academy. We also do numerous training in that throughout the year. And then transgender training also. We do yearly reviews in that. We also have deputies that specialize in the mental health areas for elderly, dementia, and special needs in our agency. And they're trained to get called in if we have a special incident. They work with the social workers and the therapists with the counties. Tisha, I see that you're on the call. I'm just going to let you handle this. The next question was, what is a crisis intervention team?
Okay, so I noticed that a lot of the comments asked that, and I provided Sam probably more information than she wanted, but I figured more was better.
Since we're live, you can say who you are so folks know who you are.
Hi, I'm Tisha. I'm the director of the mental health department. So we do have a crisis intervention team. A lot of the questions kind of alluded to, we should have one, we need one, people should be trained. We actually do. So I provided Samantha with like a 1-page on what a crisis intervention team is, the fact that officers go through 40 hours of specialized training and what some of the topics are. And then going forward, once what is the purpose of the team and kind of the structure of things. And then I also provided information on mobile crisis services, because I know it's not, obviously it's not a sheriff's department program, but a lot of the questions did relate to that type of thing. It seemed like a lot of the comments. So I thought we could have some information in there just about how the mobile crisis team is in our county and how the sheriff's department and all the police departments kind of work with them. So that's what I had provided to Sam.
And well, I'm adding that to the frequently asked questions that I had sent out to everybody this morning that will go on the website. Like I said, that's just a draft form. And from this meeting, I want to see what other topics people want to make sure we put information out on. And I've already added to another draft everything that Tisha sent me, which I really appreciate. Thank you, Tisha, for putting that information together so we could make sure we educate the public about it.
Yeah, and plus I added that, Todd, we have the jail social worker and the part-time psychiatric nurse practitioner at the jail. So inmates get mental health services while they're in the jail too, which is important. And I felt like that was something that should be noted too.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a huge point. Most people don't know that our county jail has massive mental health people from both agencies in there working with the inmates. So Tisha Cook has people that work for her in my county jail that are treating the inmates when they're coming in, because a lot of what we're seeing is you know, since a lot of these state places either can't handle it or they don't have enough of them, a lot of mentally ill people end up in the county jails. And that's well known across the state. So it's such an important program.
Sure. Before we continue on, we should just go around the room real quick and introduce everybody because we are live on YouTube and a lot of our public do not know who we are. So let's just start in the room real quick. Sheriff, just go around.
Madison County Sheriff Todd Hood.
Emily Burns, Confidential Secretary to the Board of Supervisors.
Mick Kevel, pastor at Crossroads Church and chaplain to the
Mike Currier, Sheriff Department Training Coordinator.
Bill Wilcox, Captain, Sheriff's Office.
Steve Larray, Director with the Sheriff's Office.
Mark Simone, County Administrator.
Tina, you're up in the corner for me, so.
Tina Whalen-Smith, County Attorney.
Lauren,
Lauren Corbin, Supervisor, Town of Brookfield.
You're muted.
you're muted.
Most people usually prefer it that way, Samantha. I'm Bob Mascari from the District Attorney's Office. I apologize I couldn't make it in person today.
I saw you up yesterday. It's okay.
Yeah, good point.
Mary,
Mary Kavanaugh, County Supervisor, City of Oneida.
sorry, there's two of you.
Oh,
No, you're right. Go ahead, next one.
Mary Margaret Zare, I'm the superintendent at Oneida City School District.
Dave DeSantis,
Dave DeSantis, appearing for the criminal defense bar.
Keisha,
Keisha Cook from Mental Health.
and Pete.
Yeah, Pete Walrod, Town of Georgetown Supervisor.
Thank you all. Sheriff, if you would like to continue.
All right, I'm going to move right down to, well, we can put it in there. One more thing with the crisis intervention team. We work also with Liberty Resources program and to de-escalate and address mental health crisis in person's home versus the hospital. So moving with that, the next response was many believe responders, not police, are better equipped to handle situations where a person's wellness is concerned, i.e. mental health, homeless, elderly neighbor. And what's your response to this? Tisha, I don't know if you wanted to comment at being, you know, I guess I'll take it and then somebody could add on if they want. So basically the reason why police are always around when a lot of this things happen and death occurs is we're the first people to get called to situations like this. So when someone's out of control on drugs or during an abuse situation, usually the first individual that's on scene is us in law enforcement. This is because the situation may not be clear until someone arrives on the scene. And in some cases, it's unknown what we're responding to. You don't know if the person's harming themselves or somebody else. And that's usually why we're the first people there. And we're the first people there usually, unfortunately, if a tragedy occurs and someone dies. So Tisha, do you have any thoughts on that about if you guys would like to be or concerns about being dispatched to mental health situations on a firsthand and not the police?
No, I mean, I think, you know, during the day, a lot of emergency situations, people will notify us, either the public will notify us or someone from the sheriff's will call and say, hey, I have this person that I'm concerned about. And, you know, you guys might be on the scene or you might have gotten a call from a concerned neighbor. So then we do some outreach and try to troubleshoot. And then after hours, you know, mobile crisis can respond independent of the police. So the police don't need to be there, which sometimes is helpful to both parties. You know, the police can be freed up to go do what they need to do. And then certainly if police intervention isn't needed, I mean, that's ideal because mobile crisis can kind of just respond to the mental health thing and not get other parties involved that kind of don't need to be.
Yeah, so you're kind of in favor, like myself, obviously, that the police should be the first people that are sent there to determine if public safety is an issue, and then we can get the resources there later on to help the person out. Are we in agreement with that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure. I think it
Very
happens
good.
sometimes, but yeah, that works.
So Sheriff, if I could just add briefly, I think there is an understandable but common misconception that somehow police are sent there to escalate the situation. In
Right.
fact, their real job is to de-escalate the situation and start at the lowest level of force or aggression needed, and to make the scene secure so that people like from Tisha's department can come in and be effective. So it's really, in my mind, having reviewed thousands of these things, safety for everybody concerned, the people on the scene and the help that we want to provide. It's just like even in an emergency situation where somebody's life is at stake, we don't let the ambulance people come until we know the scene is safe for them to come and do their job. So that's really the point in my mind.
Yes, yep, I agree. Thank you.
You mentioned, Sheriff, that your officers are trained with de-escalation, and that's the reason why they're there.
Yep.
You know, that's the first thing you should have done.
Absolutely. No one wants a calm situation more than we do when we go to something like that. That's the last thing we want, is to inflame things. We're always trying to calm them down. So the next response was use of force policy needs to be changed. So they've taken our use of force policy. It's on your page there. You can go look at that on the website when you want to. But as Bob said before, the Madison County Sheriff's deputies are trained in de-escalation in both the police academy and then a refresher course that's taken every year. So I hope that answers everybody's questions. Use of force, when they ask us what is the use of force, it's basically a pyramid, and it starts out at the bottom. This is how it works out with law enforcement. This is across the board. The mere presence of an officer showing up is essentially a use of force. Just the police presence that's there can be a deterrence. And it goes up to someone's verbally resistant. So there's commands that go from the police. They're verbal commands that we talk to people, further try to de-escalate things and move forward. Then it goes up the level, ultimately to its deadly physical force. The next one's resistant, passive, resistant, active. That's when somebody's actually using shoving, pushing. Then there's assaultive, aggressive, physical. And then at the top, it's aggravated physical resistance. And then there's responses for all those. The responses start out as mere presence. Then the police go to verbal commands. After that, actually touching someone, possibly guiding them. Pain compliance is after that, moving up the ladder. Those are takedowns and chemical agents as far as mace. Then it goes up to impact weapons or police canine. And then incapacitating, those are strikes or holds. And then the last one on the use of force continuum through Article 35 is deadly physical force, and that's firearms or whatever the case may be. Deadly physical force is the ultimate one. And that's what police agencies across the country follow, is that continuum. And we're training those every year. Like I said, there's updates to those every year where there's refreshers so that everyone's in compliance with those. Next question. Does anybody have any questions on that or no? Okay.
Sheriff, I do. This is Mary Kavanaugh. I was just wondering, how does that training look every year?
So we have an in-service. We switch off with the state police where we actually take 2 days full of training. They handle all our calls. And then we do it for them also with the state police in the county, being the two bigger agencies in the county that are equipped to handle calls countywide. So we train for 2 days, we pick a location, and every deputy that we have goes to a location, and they're trained on all of the updates that we have set forth for that year with the training department. And all these things are included in that, the mental health, the deadly physical force training or Article 35 training, and they have updates on those where people are brought up to speed. Concerns are voiced or not, and that's our yearly training.
Awesome. Thanks for that.
You're welcome. Next response was, it is important. Is it important that our youth have a positive impression of law enforcement? Is the Madison County Sheriff's Office out in our community? Do they communicate? Do they do community outreach? So they've compiled a list there of some of the things that we actually do, and this isn't all inclusive. This is just a short list of things that we do. One's Project Lifesaver. We do car seat safety checks, which are really popular in the community. Craze training, which is police officers will come into your business agency and we do responses to active shooter training. We do it in schools and churches across the county. We've reached out to every church in Madison County. Certainly every school we've offered this to also. We have the Child Advocacy Center, which we all know deals with crimes against children and child abuse. Operation Safe Child, that's the one you see at the fair and different events where they're giving the kids IDs to help keep them safe. Our Yellow Dot program with the Sheriff's Office is a program where we fill out information and people put a yellow sticker on the back of their car, and people with different health issues have information in the glove box. So when law enforcement sees that yellow sticker and somebody may have crashed their car or be unconscious, we can go into the glove box and get all their health information and proxies out of that also. And that's popular also. The bike helmet giveaway. We do safe Halloween trick-or-treating at the Sheriff's Office, which is going to be coming up this Halloween, where we hand out candy out front to different trick-or-treaters that come. We have special patrol officers in the schools across Madison County. If any school district in Madison County wants a deputy in their school, the county picks up half the cost and the school picks up half the cost, and that's across the board. Everybody who wants an officer in their school has one right now. Some of the schools have declined. Some have their own that they contract with also, but that's offered also. And I believe in that program. I believe in the way it develops relationships and the perception that the kids have with our deputies, especially in these times nowadays, where they're trying to put out anti-police rhetoric and narratives. Kids actually get to see that these people are human beings too when they're with them every day. It's a great program. We have reading days at schools where my deputies will go into the elementary schools throughout the county and we'll read to the children, and it's really popular when we go in. The kids enjoy it a lot. And I got to tell you, I probably enjoy it more than they do to see a bunch of elementary school kids sit down and we get to talk a little bit and read books to them. We have the Sheriff's Summer Camp. This year it took a hit. We weren't able to send kids to the Sheriff's Summer Camp, but it's a great program. They take kids that are identified by our schools in Madison County, our school resource officers, our superintendents, some kids that are struggling, and we send them to summer camp where they get to go there and they have a counselor who, unbeknownst to them, is a deputy also. And a lot of the kids come from, some really harsh situations, but then at the end of the camp, the deputies show up in full uniform for the kids' graduation. The kids get to see that this person that just counseled them was actually law enforcement, and it changes lives. So that's a great program also. We have the Christmas Angel Tree partnered with DSS. And lastly, we have Shop with a Sheriff program where our PBAs collect money throughout the year through different programs, and they pick numerous kids. Again, through the school district, they reach out and get the kids' names who may not have a Christmas, and we'll allow them to go and shop with a sheriff program. A lot of the agencies do that in the county also. I go to monthly superintendent meetings. Mary Margaret, you know that I try to show up at most of the meetings. A lot of it's been slowed down due to COVID, but those are great also, where it actually gives the teachers my ears there listening with what their concerns are and their needs are. So we're well connected, and I certainly encourage all the superintendents to contact me whenever you have issues. If you don't have a local police department, they all reach out to us with different problems, especially in the rural areas. We do many community parades and ceremonies. We do the Memorial Day events, 4th of July, Veterans Day, and the winter holidays. Our office is in constant contact with the community through social media. We have a robust social media program, very active since I've taken office, and we try to put out as much information as we can on that, keep people informed and educated on what's going on in the county. And believe it or not, a big part of that, I have people coming into my office constantly, so-and-so's reaching out on social media. That's how they do it now, and they have a different issue. And they'll bring that up to us on social media if it's not life-threatening, and we get a lot of interaction that way also, and we get a lot of things done. Our Facebook page, we're up around 9,000 following daily. So that's pretty good numbers for the county. We'd always like to see that improve. That the social media is something we can get after people as soon as they check their community. We can put a message out if we have to. So that's great. Next question. Will you be forming a citizens review board? And how does someone put a complaint in about the department or a deputy? Phil, you want to tell them a little bit about how someone would go about doing that, the different ways they could file a complaint? Not to put you on the spot.
Okay. If somebody wants to file a complaint, they can call the sheriff's office and let us know that you're willing to file a complaint. We're going to take your complaint. We will investigate that complaint. You can send an email. Several different ways to get a hold of us. And we will take your complaint. We take every complaint seriously, and we will investigate that. And I know I read a lot of the comments. I know people aren't always comfortable with calling to file a complaint, especially if you have a complaint on a deputy or something like that. Please do not feel that way. We are going to do everything we can to take care of that complaint and resolve it.
Thanks, Bill. Thank you. And certainly, another thing with the complaints, you can file a complaint with one of our deputies. If you file a complaint with one of our deputies, to all the people out there, it will get brought to our attention, through that. They're all trained in that. They understand people have different concerns. And our deputies, if they have a disagreement with somebody, they'll encourage people to, if you can talk to my supervisor, no problem. We'll get them down here as soon as we can get somebody freed up to hear what you have to say or express your concerns. It's like everything. We have checks and balances in the sheriff's office so that we address things like that, so things don't fester and frustrate people. Sometimes they just don't understand the process, and once we explain it to them, they're extremely happy, just taking the time to educate, and that's someplace where we're moving forward in police work a lot more now also, is trying to educate people because they just simply don't understand why we do things the way we do. As far as the Citizens Review Board, we don't have one in Madison County. We address all the complaints that we have. We have a lot of rural areas in Madison County, and all the complaints that we take in are addressed and handled, and there is resolve where they can go to somebody else to the next level if they don't agree with the decision that they got from our office. All the way up to the district attorney's office it could go. If somebody believes that there was bad behavior, we'll send it over to the DA's office, and then they'll continue the investigation, and it goes on and on, from them. Attorney General's office, there's all different, to the federal government. It just, there's different ways that the complaints can go once they leave our office. So next response was the mental health of deputies and first responders is also important to think about. Is this a priority in the department? And my answer to that is absolutely. Some of our officers, deputies, staff experience terrible things. We usually see the worst that society has to offer, everything from the top, from homicides to assaults to different types of abuses like that. And, in the past, I understand it's been taboo for people to go get help with mental health to make sure that their well-being is okay. We encourage that. We have a system set up with EAP where people can go to get help through our own sheriff's office, and then the state police step in if they're not comfortable dealing, they don't want stuff to leak out to people in our agency. State police EAP will come in and help us out, and we work with mental health, or we'll just get somebody, a counselor if they need it, if they're having issues.
Or the county program as well.
County EAP. So there's multiple places in our county to get help if they need it, and we encourage that wholeheartedly. If someone's struggling, this is a big revelation, in the past couple of years with the mental health. A lot of stuff hasn't been addressed, but it is now, and we just want people to know that. I'll finish up. Our basic job in the sheriff's office is the safety and well-being of the citizens in our county. And we're always looking for additional training. We send our guys to training all year round. And my biggest thing was, if you go to training and it's good and it's changed your outlook on things, we'll bring that and spread it through our whole department in the yearly training also. Sam, you had something you wanted to say?
So this is just, as I said earlier, I emailed you guys. This is just a brief of some of the bigger topics that were brought up. We'd like to hear from the committee if there's other topics that you saw in the public comment period that you would like addressed, and we can add to this. If you yourselves have any questions, I'd like to maybe take this time to maybe ask everybody if they have anything they want to add, they'd like us to address in this FAQ that is going to go online. Just to take this opportunity to educate our public about what the Sheriff's Department does and what programs are actually already in place, because we want to take this as an education opportunity.
And Sam, too, before we do that, can we just talk a little bit about the general, how many survey responses
Sure.
we received? Who are they from? There was the group in Hamilton as well,
So we received 44 public comments via our, either people mailed them in or they came in via our online form. We also received an additional 72 comments from the Hamilton Area Anti-Racism Coalition. They created their own questionnaire, filled it out, sent us all of the questionnaires, and they sent us also all of the a summary of the responses. I sent those out to the committee. I know it was kind of a large file and a lot to go through. And that's where these questions that the sheriff just went over came from. They're kind of some of the more reoccurring questions or concerns. And that's where we pulled them from. Like I said, there are a few more and we can definitely address those. So that's where all of our public comment came from. We did advertise through press releases. It was covered by the media. It was on our website. So there were, and that's how a lot of people, like we got phone calls or we got some letters in and things like that from people as well.
Sheriff, this is Pete Walrod.
Yes.
Sheriff, can you explain a little bit and give us some background on the accreditation that the Sheriff's Department and what that involved and what that stands for, please?
You bet, Pete. So when I first came into office, there's accreditations. Our jail is accredited through the New York State Sheriff's Association. We are fully accredited there, and we weren't accredited in our patrol division, the criminal division, when I came in. So Mike Courier, when we got in, we identified him, got him into the training, and Mike, in 1 year's time, a little less than a year, working with Christina Rotella on our criminal division, got us accredited with the state of New York. So the Department of Criminal Justice Services is our Albany. They control basically and set policy for the criminal division, and they're the ones that do the accreditation. So they have standards. What is there, 100 and something? There's 121 standards that they provide to agencies, and it's everything from record keeping to ways that we do business, training, use of force training, and you have to comply with those 121 standards that they have. And then once you think that you've got it, they send a team in from across the state and they come to your office. You give them a conference room and they come through and they go over all your policies and procedures. I believe there was 3 or 4 of them that come in. They're all trainers through DCJS, and they went through our whole department. They interviewed our deputies. They went through our records, our training protocols and procedures. And at the end of that investigation, maybe not investigation, but their review at the end of it, they gave us a stamp of approval. We are 140 something out of 500 agencies in the state of New York that are accredited by DCGS. So there's only around 140 of us that have attained that level out of 500 agencies plus in New York State. Anything else, Mike, on that?
No, I mean, they go through everything from, like Sheriff said, training. They go through, we have to show that we're doing the way we say our policy is. So if you have a policy that says, well, we do traffic stops this way, well, when they'll go out randomly with a deputy, I want to see how you do this, and it better be the way the policy says, and they won't pass you. They look at everything. They don't take it for granted. If you say you do it, they actually want to see you do it.
That help out at all, Pete?
Yes, yes, it does. It is helpful. I was, you know, what I was alluding to was I can understand concern from the public if they have a question or comment or complaint about the department, but obviously that must have been your complaint, how that's handled, and, must have been under review from somebody outside of your department so that the way you handle that is acceptable.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Sheriff, I have a question about accreditation. How long is that good for? Is it like a 3-year, or when are you audited next?
It is good for 5 years. We got our first last year in July. They can ask us to review our files anytime from year 1 to year 5 when they come back out. Obviously with COVID, they try to do it easier where actually we have to take the files to them so they're not around everybody. But they can ask for our files anytime, say, I want to see if you're in compliance with use of force. You got to give them the file plus all your proofs. But it's a 5-year accreditation.
Okay, thank you.
And Mary, this police collaborative, this is from the state of New York to us, from the governor's office on the things that we need to do. That's what all this is about. And all this, we are accredited by the agency who authorizes and oversees all this. So essentially we're in compliance with everything that they've requested for this packet. We're already there. Not saying there's not room for improvement. There's always room for improvement in everything, but we are in compliance with the standards that they put forth, and that's what the accreditation did.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Anybody else have anything?
Sheriff, I just quickly suggest that I think all of us in law enforcement always want to do a better job, but I look through everything, and even looking over particularly the Hamilton area responses, which were very thoughtful and thorough. I noticed that even under their statistics they compiled, that 80% of the respondents either had a neutral or a positive interaction with law enforcement.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to be satisfied until it's 100%.
Good point.
But
yeah.
I do say that perhaps all of us, and even the sheriff's office, we could be even more aggressive in explaining what I took to be some misconceptions. And I'm not going to get into the weeds on this meeting, but even from the issue of no-knock warrants to why do you have an armored vehicle to what type of symbols we display, I think there are very good, straightforward, common sense reasons for those things. And maybe we need to do a better job explaining them. And I'm not going to get into the weeds on it right now. But I do believe that all of us, me included, have to be even more aggressive in reaching out to the public so that they understand why things are done. And it's not just because we're trying to be overly aggressive, paramilitary, or it all comes back to safety. And we need to do a better job explaining that, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly, Bob. And it can be so trying sometimes when the narrative across the country is anti-police. But I try to dig up energy wherever I can and spend time with people also, just to educate them, because it can be confusing. People don't understand things. It's like anything nowadays. Someone trying to tell somebody else that knows nothing about, it'd be like me trying to tell a doctor how to do a surgery. It's not good. But we also have to take the time to educate people, and that's just a great point. We with every ounce of energy in our body, we cannot stop explaining this to people so that they understand, because that's where the biggest problem I see in our country now is people that just don't understand. There's really good reasons why we do things, but it's our job to get that across to people. Great point. Thank you.
From the schooling side, I think this might present an opportunity. All 12th graders in every high school in our state has to take a government class. This might be an opportunity to have police officers come in and talk about those questions as our kids are ready to leave the high school and become active citizens within our communities. It might be a place where you can do a lot of explanations and get rid of some of the negative or misinformation that's out there. It could be a great opportunity, just something to think about.
Mary Margaret, I just say, at least in the DA's office, we have sent out a standing offer to have anybody from our office come and explain, meet, talk, or whatever. We need people to actually ask us, though.
Yeah, I think if you know, Sheriff Hood was to work with the superintendents, maybe we could create something that every school does something like that. But I think if we started at the higher level to say, okay, how can we make this happen and almost make it mandatory for our students would be great.
I'm in 100% already. Next meeting, bring it up and I'll provide the deputies. I'll go talk to some of the kids myself if you want in some of the schools. No problem. What we probably would need to develop is, you know, just a list of concerns that everybody has that we could address with the kids, you know, on how we do business. But that is a great idea. And I'm like Bob Mascari just said, we'll be more than happy to come in to talk to you. It's a great opportunity for us to be seen by the kids as human beings when they come in there. You know, it's like anything. They're not getting pulled over. It's just somebody in there telling them how we do business. Great idea.
Does anybody else have any other, I mean, if there's other concerns that we saw from the public comment period that you received and everything like that, if there's other things you want me to add to this education piece that'll go online for our community, please let me know. You can always email it to me if you don't think of it right now or whatever.
Sam,
Yeah.
can I ask a question?
Sure.
I've just got a, you know, recently we had a incident in Cazenovia, and we've had other incidents, but how does the chain of command function when something comes up? And who takes charge and who has to follow orders? Just, could you explain that quickly?
Sure, Lauren. So when we show off in Madison County, it's closest car. So basically, if it's in Cazenovia, they're going to go to Cas PD if they have someone working. If they don't have someone working, it goes to the closest car, and that's either going to be a state trooper or a Madison County Sheriff's deputy, depending on who gets that complaint. We'll go there, we'll evaluate the situation, and you're talking about major incidents, right? Or just any call?
Well, it's probably more of a major call, but I just, once you get there, you take charge, but then when do you relinquish your duty to someone else, or does the state troopers take over, or?
That's a great question, Lauren. So here's where it goes to. When you show up at a scene, there's tactical command over that situation. It's something that needs immediate attention. It's a barricaded gunman, a suicidal person, hostage, anything like that we come. So there's tactical command over that. So we may come in to Cazenovia and they have one guy on the scene trying to contain a mess because that's all they have on. We show up with, you know, six road patrol, and the state police show up with another. There's tactical command. So we would go to Cazenovia PD and say, are you relinquishing tactical command of this situation to us? They would say yes, you know, we're respectful about it, and we would take the scene over and start handling that incident. Us having a ton more of equipment to come in to keep people safe during that situation. Say we couldn't handle it. Say it's a real hornet's nest, and the state police came in and they have resources all over the state as well as 4 SWAT teams. Hey, Major, I'm turning over tactical command of this situation to you. We turn it over to them and then they run with the situation. But you're essentially turning that scene over to them. We'll stay and help them out, but they're calling the shots after that. And then it could go up to the federal level, all the way up to the top, you know, where we're trying to get help depending on how that situation is escalating. Usually we can handle it on the county level. You know, we saw in Cas though, when this, we had somebody barricaded in their house trying a suicide by cop. It went on for 12 hours after my officers have already worked a 12-hour shift. I had to get guys out of there and get them home to sleep. So I called the state police team. They sent 2 crews in. They contained the scene all during the day. I sent my deputies home to get them rest, and then we resumed the next morning. And when my staff was starting to come back in, the guy ended up surrendering himself. So that's how that works. It's called tactical command over a situation, and that can be passed back and forth.
Thank you.
Sheriff, can you also put in a good word about what a great thing emergency management has done with the notification system and how it gets notifications?
Yeah, it's improved so much. So when we came into office, we identified this need. We have lists. We have lists over at the 911 center with emergency management, where whenever there's a unattended death in the county, a serious incident in the county, a fatal car crash, we can put people on a list to get those emails as far as what's occurring in the county. And it's just helped us out massively to notify people. And, you know, I'll find out the state police have some major incident just through a quick text message, southern part of the county. And, you know, I'll check with a major and find out if they need anything. Do they need any investigators or things like that? So it's really been great since we've been in here to get those upgrades with the 911 center. And emergency management in our county, we've also asked them, you know, they've volunteered, but their support for us. So say in Kaz, we needed lights, mobile lights brought in to light up a house, they'll come in and set that up. They'll set up our command post. You know, we've given them a vehicle and a trailer. They can come set up the command post at some of those major incidents around the county also, so it can get us out of the weather. We have our computers, our grease boards and things like that, so we can figure out where people are for some of these major incidents, like the one we've seen in the town of Lenox there with our latest tragedy, homicide.
Sheriff, Dave DeSantis here. I noticed in a couple of the comments reference to body cams. It might be helpful to reference that, the expanded use of body cams, et cetera.
Yeah, we tried to get those, and that's a big expense. And right now, with the way things are with the COVID and the budget cuts in the county, you know, unless the governor's office or somebody from the state steps in and says, we're going to provide these to every officer across the state, it isn't a bad idea. We've used them in the jail for 6-month trial periods, and we've used them on the road patrol. The guys seem to like them a lot. Our men and women, they used them. Our corrections officers liked them even more with all a lot of fictitious complaints that come from the inmates. It helped to validate that nothing occurred just by the fact that they had a camera on. So it's a great tool. A lot of that's funding though. You know, the county, they've taken a lot of hits with COVID this year. And believe me, they treat us great. In our sheriff's office, I have no complaints, but times are tough right now. And the last time we checked, it was around $188,000 to have the cameras brought in with the data storage packets that come along with them. And that was through Axon.
I'll just add real quickly, at the district attorney's office, we're 100% in favor of the body cameras. Just to echo what the sheriff says though, the cost to acquire and then the cost to retain and store and the cost to turn over that body camera footage to the defense, it might be a very worthwhile expense, but it's enormous.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have anything? So, you know, Mike, from here, we appreciate everybody joining us and being part of this committee. We'll be putting together this kind of a response to some of the commonly asked questions. I'll be getting it up on our website hopefully within next week. That way we can use it as a tool to help educate the community as well. From here, with the police reform, we will be starting to draft the plan that is asked of us. And after that, we'll be asking for more public comment. And with that draft of a plan, we'd like to bring the committee back together to talk about the plan, look at it before we even release an actual draft, just to, you know, ask for comments and see if there's anything you would like added or any questions. So we will be in touch.
I want to thank you all for your help in doing this to make this possible. Thanks for taking the time to come out and give us a hand with this. We really appreciate it. So thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Enjoy your Halloween.
Okay. You guys have a good day.
Yes,